Yeah. You know, we were talking about this earlier, and I've been critical about Alex Cora about just him getting more of the blame at times.
Yeah.
And like what we're hearing from him now, because we've been critical about kind of making excuses for these guys playing in the cold weather. And I told you, I heard on the broadcast where they were trying to potentially change the start of the game time.
Well, is that accurate, or that is the suggestion, is that Alex Cora wanted to change?
He said he asked Sam Kennedy to move them up for the week, and
because of the cold weather.
Yeah.
So
I mean, both teams are playing in the cold weather. Like, what are we doing?
Well, that's why I would say, like, sometimes when we criticize these guys, we tend to leave Alex Cora off the blame pie.
Uh-huh.
And part of some of these things could be the potential of, if you're willing to build in excuses for your players.
I have an idea. Not Hill Notes earlier in the day.
Yeah.
Why do the Red Sox train in Fort Myers if they start the season in Boston?
Right. They
should train in Alaska.
Well, I mean,
that way they're ready for the cold. Belichick practices in all seasons.
Yep.
Yeah.
When it was rain, he would wet the balls.
So you're saying they lead the league in Ks, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So
and double plays.
So you're saying that Alex Cora, by suggesting that they change the start time of the baseball game, is deploying an excuse as opposed to pointing the finger at himself and saying we didn't do a good enough job in Fort Myers when it came to working on hitting the baseball.
Yeah, the K's don't bother me as much. I think it's more about building in that excuse of, well, it's cold, and then when things maybe go bad, they'll be like, well, we can find an excuse on why it's going bad. I think that the K's are just guys. Everybody now is trying to hit the ball out of the park, and they swing for the fences, and they swing at bad pitches, and there's not really a lot of patience there. But I would just say it's more of building the excuse in. Like, we get on coaches for giving their teams excuses, and I would say to Cora, like, don't even give them that out. I mean, yeah, I get it's cold for everybody, but when you start to say, can we move the game because of this cold weather? It allows you to build in an excuse, which a lot of people don't give.
Well, I mean, I guess you have some guys on this team who have yet to play in this kind of weather. It was snowing opening day in Portland, Maine, with the Sea Dogs. It was snowing,
right,
and they played the baseball game. So
But this is the perfect thing for fans of baseball. Right? When you look at fans of baseball, this would be the perfect time to say, hey, this is why we should eliminate some games. Because then maybe we could start the season May 1st. And in all the cold weather area places, it's not just Boston, but I bet it's cold in New York.
You don't want the season to start until May 1st? Like,
well, what's the difference between April 1st and May 1st?
Yeah, the weather's just better.
Probably 30 days.
Yeah, exactly. But the weather's better. I mean, so why is it like, what's this whole significance of starting it April 1st?
And also, like, if I was planning on going to the games this week, I'd be happy that Alex Cora asked Sam Kennedy to move them earlier.
Well,
stinks sitting there.
There were not a lot of people there yesterday, and so but that's the weather. It's I mean, I don't know.
But at least it was sunny yesterday.
It's like they've done it. Like people go out in the cold and build buildings.
Yeah, but that's their job.
Like, I mean,
Greg,
sorry.
you always go back to that's their job.
Yeah, I do.
Do you want to go?
I do, because I care about regular people.
So what about all the regular people that want to go to the baseball game and don't want to sit in 25-degree weather? Those are regular people. So it's a way to help out regular people who spend money, who spend a good amount of money, that don't want to sit out there when it's 25 degrees and drizzling and it feels like it's 10 degrees. Start the season at the beginning of May, man.
Okay, so and then are you going to end the season in September because it gets cold in October? I hate to break it to people, it gets cold in October.
Right, but it's
the average temperature warmer in April or October?
October.
I
bet it's October.
So? Yeah,
yes.
I would probably agree with Courtney.
Yeah.
But that would be a way to shorten the season and make the game better for fans that live in these areas where they,
It's warmer in October.
Yeah.
It is.
Yep.
So
on average by 4 degrees.
Yep.
there you go. So
I have it by 6.
Oh, baby.
I go with Curtis
I'm
because
gonna go
Curtis
with
is the weather guy.
He's the weather
guy.
guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
absolutely.
And then if they could do the World Series, you could have Wyclef do a song "Gone Till November."
Right. And how many people complain about baseball just being too long?
This is John from Gardner. Hey, John.
Good morning, good folks. Speaking of the weather, I hope that conditions out here do not portend ill things for my golf season. Gardner Municipal was scheduled to open today. Guess what we got out here?
Oh, snow. It's snow. You have snow.
Yeah, it's like the pavement isn't covered, but the grass, my tenants' cars are completely covered. So I don't think we're going to have the opening today. Hey, listen, I've had a question about the match for a while, Greg.
Yeah.
Is it true that after arduous negotiations that now, besides the 6 strokes you give in chime, you have to compete with a shovel and a rake?
There is no strokes.
No strokes.
And when it comes to the match, I was earlier this morning, my good friend Walter over at Granite Links
Great guy.
asked what the official date is, and he is suggesting a Tuesday in May. So, although I will say this, we received a request for a second match. I don't want to get too deep in this, but on the road.
Yes.
On the road being another state.
Wow.
Yeah.
Am I right about that?
You are correct about that, Greg. Quite a ways away, too. Not just, next neighboring state.
Yeah, but anyway.
As in, Greg and I would have to fly together.
Well,
Fly.
It might not be together, but
Okay.
on
On the same plane, maybe in
match
2 different
one,
sections of the plane.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. It will be at Granite Links, and it will be in May. So weather should be fine.
Yeah.
Like no complaining about
Right,
the
we
weather
should feel good in May. And if you have one bad day in May, you can kind of live with that. And now, isn't it really like you brought up April 1st? The season starts at the end of March, so it doesn't even really matter no more. So I would eliminate it and say, hey, we're going to help out these teams. We're going to start the Major League Baseball season the beginning of May.
Here's a text from Maine Wiggy, which says people sit in the cold and rain all year long to watch Patriots games. Why can't the Red Sox fans do the same? Agree.
Well, because there's not 162 of them.
Bundle yourself up.
And how many do they really
if
sit in
you're-
the cold weather?
Huh?
Be honest. How many? There's only 8 home games, sometimes 9. How many of those are really in the cold weather?
At least 2 or 3.
Okay, so you could deal with 2 or 3. This here, the Red Sox, you could say you could potentially have, depending on if you're playing in Baltimore, which is cold, and then you go from Baltimore to St. Louis, and then St. Louis to Boston.
So you're going to move the games. Alex Cora wants you to move the games to sunlight. And so then nobody who works can get there and go to a baseball game in April. It seems ridiculous.
But think about how many people went to that game.
What time was opening day?
Okay, that's a special thing, Curtis. It's always like that.
But
But
4:05?
What's the toughest ticket of the whole season?
because it's opening day and people take that day off. They're not going to take a random, Wednesday. Like let's use.
Would
this
you
week.
bring a client to Fenway, not in a suite, last night?
No. Or even a couple nights ago when it was really cold.
Given the way we are with remote work and the way your phone has everything you need on it, if you get a call, you want to go where you can sit and enjoy. Opening day was gorgeous. You are far more likely to have a day like that in May than you are in April. It's not even close.
Yeah.
Like, it would be an offense to a client if it was 32 degrees and drizzling, and you're like, so what do you think about joining us for another year? Where the guy's got a drenched hot dog before he sits down.
I don't know. It's like it's been done that way forever. It didn't seem to be an issue for Yaz.
Yeah, but does that mean it's right?
How
cold in
many things
April.
have changed, Greg, since Yaz was manning left field?
I didn't see Yaz out there shivering with a full poopy schnizzle
Poo shiesty.
a poo shiesty.
No, he just had a Marlboro Red in the
Like,
6th inning.
I didn't see Yaz with a long underwear on under his Red Sox.
Oh, I bet he
Weren't they
did.
all like drinking during games though? They had they had a liquor blanket.
I bet he did have.
So they were fine.
Right, they had moonshine at the top of the 8th.
They were full the underneath old school pajama sets. Like that was the normal thing to wear back then.